Is that the right, everyone here?
Yeah.
Okay. Hi, my name is Sarah Allen and I'm the Operational Compliance Accountant for RS. That basically means I make sure that all of the VAT returns and things like interest act get completed on time for EMEA. And I also help make sure we're VAT compliant across the European business. I've been at RS for just over 5 years. I started as a cost accountant, and 2 years ago I was promoted into this role, which I've originated. I also turned 40 this year and forced everybody I know to dress up as an 80s film character while I wore my wedding dress. Why the hell not? I'm married and have been with my husband for 5 years, married for just nearly 4. I've got no kids. I have brother, sister, great parents, 4 amazing nephews, a good and large extended family, and a cracking group of mates. I'm a feminist and a practicing Christian. I love reading, colouring in, and I'm currently training for a powerlifting competition. I'm a big kid, really illustrated by my favourite purchases of the last few years. 1, a paddling pool for my garden with cup holders. And 2, if anyone in the room remembers, an original 1980s fashion wheel. I'm just a big kid. And that's what you know about me if you met me professionally or socially. If you worked on a project with me or met me on a training course. It's also what you find out about me if you met me socially. But what you wouldn't know in the normal course of meeting me is there's another large part of my life that I don't keep hidden. It's not necessarily the first thing I would tell you. My name is Sarah Allen and I suffer from 2 mental health conditions. First condition is called cyclothymia, and as I've come to understand it, that means that for me, on about a 2-year cycle, I'm cycling between being slightly above happy, right down to a deep depression. And that's where the second condition kicks in, bipolar type 2. It kicks in mostly at the top and bottoms of my cycle and makes my mood alter hour to hour, day to day. It's not the fancy kind of bipolar where you stay up all night and clean the house, as my husband would like it to be. It's more like me looking like I'm on drugs, take on the world, right down to me looking like a zombie from The Walking Dead. Today, I'd like to talk to you about my story. Not my journey, as my mother would say, we are not an X Factor contestant. How my depression started, how I got diagnosed, and finally my toolbox of tricks to keep me not just alive, but happy alive. So where's it begin? Honestly, I don't know. What I do know is I was born this way. The wiring in my head is different. 2 examples would be I don't experience certain emotions, like excitement, and I can genuinely walk past rubbish and mess and not see it, which means I can live in a pigsty or a show home and it makes absolutely no difference. I know I was a happy child, and apart from the normal teenage drama, happy. I was always messy, and around my mid to late teens, my family started to call me Polly, as in pessimistic Polly. They definitely described me as glass half empty. So I was just a normal, slightly down, messy young woman who headed to Australia for 6 months backpacking, came home, got a new job, saved up some money and bought a flat. And here's where things started to go wrong. Without my parents around to push me, nag me, and generally hold me responsible, life started to feel harder. I had a moment when I was about 26, 27, when I was made redundant from a job, and then I got a temp job that was supposed to go permanent and didn't. And suddenly, I couldn't cope. I realised I hadn't gotten out of my pyjamas for a week. The washing up was piling up. I had no clean clothes, and I'd burned through all my redundancy money and started to hammer the credit cards. But more than that, I was tired and down and couldn't fight that voice in my head that says you aren't good enough. So I reached out to my mum and she came and got me, gathered me up, tidied the flat, sorted out my debt and got me back on track. I even had some counselling. It helped me start trying to talk about how I was feeling. But let's be honest, I felt enough of a letdown as it was. My sister, who was sorting out my debt, used to yell at me for the next bill that went overdue, or the one that went to court and I just didn't show up for the hearing. How could I ignore this stuff? It was stupid, lazy and selfish. My mum would tell me it was all about keeping on top of it all, a little every day. And then came the inevitable suggested fixes. Get thinner, exercise, find friends, be cleaner, tidier, find a man and get married. If you do all that, you'll feel better. So I did everything they said. Got sorted, went back to my flat. Only I didn't feel better. But now, alongside how I felt about myself, everyone else had tried to help. So how could I tell them it wasn't working? I couldn't face heaping failure on failure, so I chose to push it down and carry on. And it worked. For about 18 months maybe, I was reasonably happy. I moved into jobs and ended up working longer hours. Gradually, I started to be tired at the end of the day, so when I came home, I'd eat rubbish, sleep, repeat till Friday. Then Friday night, straight to bed till Monday morning. At first, I tried keeping up with friends, family. I went back to church, joined a Saturday night service where I acted in a serial drama for kids. Sleep, sleep, sleep between things was the only way I could think to survive. Because if I was awake, then I would think. And when I thought, well, then I really was in trouble. Then I couldn't sleep. Not even after days of being awake. No sleep, then lots of sleep. So I started making excuses. I'm ill, I'm working. Anything to not have to go out again once I got home. Forcing myself to do the absolute minimum for no one to suspect what a worthless, tireless, pathetic shell I was. Putting on my outside mask, happy, smiling, joking, upbeat, caring Sarah for the world, then awful, pacing the floor, not sleeping, just not good enough Sarah at home. Thing is, when you start cancelling on people without good reasons or clearly made up ones, they start to think you don't want to see them. So boyfriends, friends, anyone but immediate family and some church people, they just gave up. They stopped asking. And then that mean voice in your head saying no one wants you around, no one likes you, starts to feel true. I tried a few times to tell people. My mum remembers me asking her if she ever felt like just driving into a tree or stepping off a train platform. She said everyone does. She thought I was normal. Anything anyone said started a loop in my head. If you said to me at work, you look nice today, my head would say, well, obviously I look crap all the rest of the time. The loops would last maybe a few hours and then be replaced by the next one. That is until night time, when all of them would come back. Like the voice inside your head isn't one voice, it's 20 voices, and they won't shut up. Now, let me make it clear, the loops I hear are my internal voice in my head. I don't have hallucinations. It's just the voice is like turned up to 11. Then, because I couldn't sleep at night, started sleeping all weekend. Result, no clean clothes, no washing up, bags of rubbish in my tiny spare room because I couldn't get the energy to take them downstairs to the bin. More and more time off work until one day my boss told me the next time I was late or off sick, I was getting a final warning. My loop said, you're going to lose your job, your home and your family. It's going to happen soon. They will find that rubbish, that unpaid bill, that hidden pile of washing up, and they will despise you for the weak, lazy disappointment you are. So I did the only thing I could think to do. I told my mum my washing machine was broken, got her to clean my clothes, stayed over on a Sunday night, got my dad to make sure I got up in time for work, kissed them goodbye with a smile, got in the car in plenty of time. Here was my new start. And then I got stuck in a traffic jam. Now, traffic jams have been an excuse I'd use once too often, and my boss made it really clear it wouldn't matter. So the loops kicked into overdrive. That's it, you're losing your job, home, family. Everyone else can cope but you. You're fat, you don't even have a husband, and all the time I'm driving watching the clock, and then it ticks past 9 o'clock, and then I drive past the turn off. Well, it's done now, you've lost your job. Who will want to know you now? I started talking out loud to the voices in my head, and every name I said my head rejected.
Your sister won't want you, she knows you're lazy. Your friend has kids and you don't even have kids. How can you tell her how you feel? She's got a life, people who rely on her. You'll just be a nuisance. Your parents have had enough. They'll hate you for the state of your flat, your debts, your absolute inability to function like a proper adult, unless you killed yourself. Now that's an answer, and then everything went quiet.
So I turned the car around and headed for home. But let's face it, if you haven't made the effort to get milk or toilet roll, you're fairly unlikely to have a big stash of painkillers lying around. And that's what I chose, pills. And for some strange reasons. I can't throw myself off a building, I'm scared of heights. And I couldn't gas myself in the car because I didn't even own a garage. So I took pills, lots of them, one packet at a time, swallow the pills while driving to the next shop, until I hit somewhere between 80 to 100, and then I thought that would be enough. So I went back and parked up outside my flat, and then at that moment, the voice in my head went off, the one single tiny thought that saved my life. My mum will have to find my body. She will come looking for me, and she'll find me. And although in the long run, everybody is better off without me, that's not something I wanted her to experience. So I walked into A&E, told them I'd taken pills, and asked them if I could lie down and die. I sought assurances no one would have to identify my body. I let them weigh me and lay me down on a bed to die. Funny thing about hospitals, they do all they can to save lives, so that was really never going to happen. They put me on a drip, talked me into giving them my sister's number, and started to try and save my life. I say try, because there was a few hours when they didn't know if the medication would work. My sister's best friend was a nurse. When she rang her and told her what I'd done, she told Carly to be prepared. If the blood work didn't show improvement, it might be too late, that I would die. And not today, but in a week or two, after all my organs had slowly started to fail, after I might have changed my mind. But, and I hate to be a plot spoiler, it did work. My mum fought not to have me committed. I went home to them. I had CBT to help with my thoughts. I got my first diagnosis, clinical depression. I got my first set of meds and some sleeping pills. It's worth saying that when my mum rang my boss to tell her what had happened, she told her I was the last person she was worried about, that I was the life and soul of the office. Depression has made me an incredible actor. And over the next 2 years, I tried everything to rebuild my life. After about 8 months and a new job with better hours, I felt so good, I came off my meds. And from then on, I was a ticking time bomb. I tried to commit suicide again. I was back in hospital, but this time, something different happened. Everyone around me stopped talking like my overdose was just a cry for help. That I just needed to apply the fixes, get a blow, get tidy, because I'd done that, and this is what I told my mum. There's no joy, no love, no hope, no point. And then this happened. People started to tell me what the effect would be if I died. My sister told me if I had been successful the first time, she wouldn't have been able to adopt my nephew 2 months later. My best friend Kate told me if I left her, she'd have no one left who she knew loved her no matter what. And my mum told me that she would spend her life proving to me it was worth living. That she would stand by my side with joy, love and hope until they came back. So I made a choice. I will not kill myself. And if I'm not going to kill myself, I have to try and have the best life possible. There have been blips over the last 9 years. Big ones and small ones, no more attempts. There have been a ton of different diagnoses until the right one was found. There have been drugs that gave me violent nightmares. Well, mostly the hippo is eating my feet. There have been drugs that made me way too happy. But with help and support and honesty from the people around me, I found the right drug. And I've made the decision, if I'm going to break my cycle, I have to be on my meds all the time. And now I'm on the right meds, a really low dose, and I'm being monitored by a psychiatrist once every 3 months. It's helping, and it's going to keep helping. The main thing I've learned is to be honest and open. I thought no one else in the world felt like me, that I was the ultimate damaged goods. But I was wrong. Now there is so much information out there. When I was first ill, the only references I had were One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest and Girl Interrupted. Great examples of mental health and the care you can get. I thought I was really open and a resource for others. I had friends and relatives come to me for help, but last year I started to notice that my husband wasn't himself. I couldn't understand what was wrong with him, and he wouldn't talk to me. He finally broke one night when I asked him if he wanted a cheese or ham sandwich, and he sank to the floor and cried. I mean, really from deep down inside tears. He told me he couldn't trust his own decisions. He was so anxious he couldn't sleep, drive, or perform at work. He was having 20 panic attacks a day. I was devastated, but I picked him up and I got him help. He's diagnosed with anxiety disorder and is much better now. Men seem to bottle these things up more, but he has come to understand that everything he's told me applies to him. It's not weak to ask for help, it's strong. It's not weak to be on meds. If you were diabetic, you would take insulin. Depression and anxiety are killers, but they're only killers if we keep silent. Sufferers, carers, and all of us need to stop being silent and share, however un-English that feels. I told him a simple story. A man falls down a hole. A doctor walks past and says, "Hey, help." And he says, "Hey, help, I'm stuck in the hole." And the doctor throws down a prescription. And then a priest walks past and he says, "Hey, Father, I'm stuck, can you help?" And he writes out a prayer and throws it down the hole and walks away. And then a friend comes by. He says, "Hey, Joe, I'm stuck down this hole, can you help me?" And the friend jumps into the hole. And our guy says, "Well, what are you doing now? Now we're both down the hole." And he says, "Yeah, but I've been here before and I know how to get out." What I have developed is a toolkit, a pick and mix, if you like, of things that help. And every time I have a low, I use them or throw one away or add one in. I'm always learning. So here are my top tips for maintaining my mental health. I hope you find them interesting, amusing, possibly useful. Feel free to steal them at will. 1. Have a base. On the days I just want to go to sleep, when facing the world is too much, I have a simple base. I get up, I have a shower, I change my pyjamas, and I sit on the sofa. Even if I do nothing else all day, I'm not making the physical symptoms any worse. I don't have to worry about people seeing me, and it's the first thing someone can make me do to get me started. Number 2, hour by hour. Bake it till you make it. I can't tell you how many times, at least 3 times a month, I use this tool. It starts with, I'll do my base and see how I feel. Okay, now I'll get dressed for work and see how I feel. I'll drive to work and see how I feel. Try and get to 10 a.m. What I can tell you about this tool is that mostly I get to about 4 o'clock and realise I faked it and I made it. And on the days I don't, I tried. And that's half the battle. 3, fake it at work, but not at home. I put on my mask in the car park, but I take it off at 5 o'clock. When I get home or see people after work, I tell the truth. Today, I faked it all day. I have no energy left to be your wife, friend, or sister. My battery is flat. And guess what? They take over. They cook me dinner, they run me a bath, whatever I want. 4, music therapy. I listen to sad music to release my pain and happy music to cheer me up. My favourite thing at the moment to lift me is to take off my glasses and dance around my living room to Taylor Swift's Shake It Off. I have found my loops have a kryptonite. They can't flow if I'm singing a song. And when the song is finalised, they're replaced by the lyrics of the song. 5, use social media as a tool. I will not fake my life on social media. Last year, I asked all my friends to send me songs to make me laugh or cry. I got about 120. I don't have that many friends, by the way, but my lot get really carried away when you give them an in. But every time I play Flames by Sia or You Got the Love by Massive Attack, I know my friend Kayla is telling me to just keep moving, or my friend Kate is telling me she has my back. 6, 3-day rule. 3 days to help myself, get back to work, get back on track, or it's the doctor. No negotiation. No arguing if I can't do it. 3 days, and then my husband, family and friends, they just take over. 7, my favourite, bath cry. Run a really good bubble bath, put on sad music and let go. Tell everybody else in the house or people will burst into the bathroom to see what's going on. A therapist once told me it's a perfect way to empty your sadness. Scream, holler, cry, and when the water gets cold, get out, stop crying, carry on. I thought if I started crying I would never stop, and sometimes I refill the bath. Eventually I'll get up and I'll feel the great effects of that release. 8, and I did this morning, check my head with others. True friends and family can help me know if the loop is real or it's just my dodgy wiring. It helps, and it's helped them understand me. 9, podcasts. The Hilarious World of Depression. It's been life-changing for me and the people I know. Give it a listen. It's comedians talking about depression. 10, recharge, reload. I take a week off work every 3 months because I worked out that was my limit before I just need to stop. And it doesn't have to be about going anywhere or doing anything. It can just be me and a whole load of amazing binge TV watching in pajamas. But I'm not working, I'm not pushing myself, I'm not performing. I'm recharging so I can come back reloaded. And 11, the list. I have 6 people on my list. They're really safe people. I ring them or turn up and I can say one of 2 lines. It's happening again, or you need to keep me safe. And they'll take over. They know exactly what to do and what to say. Because sometimes all it takes is a pause button on my feelings. These 6 people keep me alive. Who'd be on your list? I speak out about mental health because doing so keeps me alive, and it may help others who are suffering in silence to speak out. I'm passionate about making sure that everyone who suffers or supports a sufferer can come to work and be their true self. I want to make it okay to say, this is me, no matter what condition you're suffering from or who you are supporting. I didn't think I could make a difference to anyone. I thought people would listen and then go away or just not really listen at all. How wrong was I? I want to quickly tell you 5 things the company is doing as a result of me and a whole host of other people who are advocating for mental health awareness, speaking up. 1, I'm really excited about this, the wellness room that opens today. It's down near occupational health. It has a sofa, has a phone, has a coffee machine. It's a safe place to just go and be if you're in crisis or you need 10 minutes without the world looking at you. I'm really excited about that room, and I would encourage everybody to go and have a look at it and just get that feeling. You can adjust the lighting, you can just sit down and just be. And Gladys is next door, and the mental health first aiders will come if you ask them to come. 2, the stickers on the toilet doors. If you sit down in a toilet today, you're going to notice that there's a sticker on the back of the toilet door telling you about Employee Assist. I think that's probably where most people are going to go first. 3, the Employee Assist program is an amazing resource and no one told us about it. So now today you should all have got a little leaflet and a card. That service, it's not just about mental health, it can be legal advice, it can be counselling. Don't know how many of you are aware in this room, but if you want counselling on the NHS, if you even get in the band, you're looking at a 6 to 12 week wait. You can get someone on the phone today through your Employee Assist. So I encourage you to keep that card with you, you never know when you're going to need it, and encourage your colleagues to use it. 4, there's been an uptake in mental health first aiders and manager awareness training since we started talking about it, and that's really good. And 5, I've asked the FLT to include wellness in the Glint survey. They ask us how we like our jobs, they ask us how we like our managers, but they weren't asking how we were, and they've agreed to do that. And 6, health and safety team, really want to point out that Target Zero, it's not just about slip and trips, it's about mental health as well, and the health and safety department are really working hard with mental health first aids and everybody else to make that a Target Zero as well. Now, this is normally the time when I'm giving this talk to leadership teams where I challenge them to make changes. Today, because you're all captive, I thought I'd challenge you. Whether you're a team leader or a team member, whether you're part of the 1 in 4 who suffer, or the 3 in 4 who support us. So here goes. 1, make it okay. Use your voice to make it okay for everyone to talk about mental health. You could use your social media accounts. You could have conversations when you go back to your desks. Let it be known it's okay to talk. It's okay to ask for help. It's okay not to be perfect. 2, next time you ask someone like me, how are you? Add a simple word on the end. How are you today? Because when you ask me how I am, it's too big a question for me. So I'm going to say I'm fine, good, even if I'm falling apart inside. Ask me or others who you think or know suffer, how are you today? And then just listen. 3, finally, if you think you could become a mental health first aider, I cannot describe to you the comfort it's given my family to know if I'm in crisis at work, there are people who can really help keep me safe. Mental health first aiders are the hidden heroes to me in this company, so why not become one too? I'm not going to stop talking and advocating until every office in the business, every trade counter, every employee knows it's okay to talk. You can live with depression and anxiety. That's all you really need. All you really need is hope. Because if you hold on, pain ends. Thank you for listening.